by the end of the 1980s, I could see my effectiveness there kind of going down, and so that led to ultimately me retiring a little bit early and then going to university.
During the time you were working on city redistricting and all that, what other groups were doing other things?
Well, the MAPA was medium in strength, and the GI Forum was very, very strong and very, very well respected. That their opinion would be asked for a lot of things. On the other side, the Confederación de la Raza really became an organization in itself. It had some strong things. One of them was United People Arriba. Jack Brito, Sophie Mendoza, those were the names in there. There was Mujeres de Aztlán, the two names I mentioned before, Fran Escalante, Shirley Trevino, their friend Sylvia, Ernestina Garcia, they were in there. Those were really, really strong groups, on the really more grassroots thing. And GI Forum being very conservative. There were some other groups that were very strange. I think they started off as religious groups associated with Lupeño societies, Guadalupe societies at the churches. And I got to tell you, one of them called the Progresistas, they wanted to picket the appearance of a certain ex-governor of Oaxaca. I don't know what the subject was, but anyway, they wanted to picket this guy. And somebody came to MAPA and said, this guy's a devil, and we need to go picket him. He's going to show up at here. And MAPA thought, yeah, we'll go. And well, I went. I didn't know what it was. And we got to there, and there were these progresistas. I said, these are the people who had asked us to do it. The mapistas came, and they had these picket signs, and they start handing them out, and then the progresistas wouldn't hold them. Oh no, we don't pick it. You pick it. I said, what the hell is that? So there were all kind of strange things, but it was easy to get the people riled up. I mean, I remember there was something about some kid in the Franklin McKinley School was sent home because his hair was too long, and the rumor of that spread like wildfire. We filled up an auditorium somewhere of 500 of people. None of us had the truth, but they're not going to do that to one of us. So there's a lot of passion there. It didn't go very far, but we did get a little bit of representation and a lot of people got educated. I mean, a lot of we made some teachers out of Model Cities money. Aides became teachers. They got some breaks there, and actually that. More than teachers, we started to get administrators too. We started to get principals, and then superintendents. And somehow, we would have thought that, God, if we get them at the top, we're going to change the system. But we never really got that many teachers. It's still, the schools are predominantly white teachers, and the system hasn't changed that much for poor people. It's not as bad as it was before, but it hasn't changed that much for poor people. And now, the biggest thing is the Vietnamese came, and that's a totally different success story, especially financially and for jobs. It's just, and we're still at the bottom. It's just, yeah. So
What are some of the names of the early teachers you remember? Administrators, superintendents?
Well, Pete Mesa was our lead administrator in San Jose Unified. I don't know that much happened in terms of the administration, but more so on the board of Eastside High School. We always had Jose Martinez, and then when this professor from San Jose State got on the board, Tony, I can't remember his name. Carrillo, yeah, from Arizona. He's the one that brought Joe Cotto from Oakland to Eastside. That made a big difference. Simultaneously to that, I don't know if Joe or Carrillo talked Robert Cruz into moving his thing from Oakland to San Jose, his university. That kind of happened at the same time. Clearly, in terms of the teachers that I got to know, Jose Valdez, was a prominent one, as was Bobby Chavez in the Mesa program. They worked hand, and then Jose Valdez broke off into the math program that he had started, and that's still going on in some fashion. Those are some of the names the ones I knew at San Jose High, primarily from running for that board. Those are Leo and Chris, and in fact, wasn't Mauro Chavez at San Jose High before he went to City College?
He may have been, I'm not sure.
I think he was for a while. Or maybe because he was in that group. I thought he was there.
He may have been.
Yeah, he may,
when you said Leo Gallego.
Gallego, yeah. Leo
And
Gallego.
Chris Jimenez.
Chris Jimenez, yeah.
What about, you mentioned the model cities. What about the people that came, this is in the non-education people. I have a feeling they came up through a lot of these programs that were going at the time. But can you tell me about model cities, what you remember about it, who were the activists, what were the issues they were involved in?
Yeah, well, one of the strong forces in model cities from the community was Jack Brito, and Jack was on the board, but never wanted to be the president of the board, but always would either conflict or support somebody to be president. And they did a lot in job training. They did a lot in education, which is what I knew about their programs, especially for helping aides become teachers in various partnerships with NHU, with San Jose State. The other program, which I didn't know too much about, but I knew it was sizable, was in the health area, and the establishing of little local things that could become clinics. And some of them became big clinics. Gardner area, Albizo area, Model Cities money was and I think that has stayed. We do have a lot of local grassroots health kind of things. I mean, I don't know them too well. I don't use them and don't work them, but I see them. Alum Rock counseling center. There's, and there's clinics around. So model cities did a lot, and model cities was the big war on poverty thing under the Johnson administration. And so that's job training, education, and health is the ones that I remember.
And what are the names of some of the directors or leaders?
Well, I mean, I just can't remember. I mean, I wasn't that close to them. I mean,
I remember Monico Amador.
Well, Monico Amador would be more in the labor area, and that was the other thing I didn't touch upon. Besides model cities, the redevelopment agency came to San Jose around 1970, and the first thing it did was to build a Park Center Plaza, which is it's across the street from the Fairmount Hotel. There's some buildings there, and there's some underground parking, and that used to be a Mexican neighborhood, right there. There were no buildings, and when they brought in redevelopment money and cleared out those houses, then they started building, and we were kind of aghast that Latino contractors and subcontractors were not being hired to work on those jobs. So a lot of us collectively decided we're going to picket that thing. This is a city project. We're going to embarrass the city that our people are not being hired. And there was no. Monico was like the expert in that because he was the head of laborers union at one time, very well known in the labor area. Another guy, Max Reese, was knowledgeable, but they gave us advice. They were in the back, but the guts of that effort just somehow developed around a guy who was unemployed, Jose Vasquez. And you may know him from his sister, B. Robinson, and he but Jose Vasquez led that fight. Some of us in MAPA were in there, Jose Martinez, but it was Jose Vasquez. He was the strength of it, and finally they. Because of the connection to the city, Manetta was the mayor. Other people, they made people meet together and come up with a hiring plan. And also in that time, out of the contractors and subcontractors, the Latinos, they formed a network under one of the Ibarra brothers and another guy named Eddie Garcia from the probation department. They organized the Latino subcontractors. And then the Latino subcontractors, the big first effort they did was hold a big fundraiser for Richard Nixon, which it just drove us absolutely up the wall. I said, that's what we did. We made Republicans. But, and since then, the contracting area has really changed, that was difficult for our people to get into. Getting those journeyman positions into small companies that then got you into the union. We always had the laborers union, that's digging the ditch, but the guy running the backhoe, who gets, much more money, we can never get into those, but we have them now. We have those positions, But that was not model cities. That was, I would say, Confederación had a lot to do with it. MAPA had to do it. And if I had to point to one individual, I would say Jose Vasquez. He carried the day. He was the first one who chained himself, to the gate over there. And they had to come and cut off the chains, to let the trucks pass, and that generated the publicity that they needed to make that happen, to start to do that, Yeah, that was my recollection of it. No, I was looking at it from MAPA, because at that time I was, well, part of the time I was president of MAPA.
What years were those?
72, 73. 72, 73. I talked a lot about the Fiesta de las Rosas thing to Angel Rios when he interviewed me for the what was one of the Chicano oral history things at San Jose State. When all you guys were getting master's degrees in that. But I don't know if anybody else documented that. But that brought out a lot of people to get really mad, active, especially those who had college students who got arrested and beat up by the cops. They were not the type to get involved until they saw their kids get beat, And the kids were just trying to stop the parade, and the cops just, let them have it, and arrested them all. But, they were hitting them in public, with batons, sort of our version of the riots in L.A. It wasn't as bad, but it was bad enough to anger a lot of parents, including Ernestina Garcia. She was a pretty mild lady before that, but after that, man, she was a fireball.